Once upon a time, there was a dear little boy who loved his little toys. But most of all, he loved his games, and there was nothing he would not have given for them. And so here we are at the end of Season 2 with Benji's lightning quick top 100 games of all time. 51st state. Now, whilst it might have been cool if this were the number 51, that would have been doing this city builder a disservice. Set in a post-apocalyptic-ish world, this game of multifunctional cards and a decent amount of take that sees you exchanging and gathering resources in order to gain points. Seamless and smooth. 49. The Quacks of Quedlinburg. This bag building and push your luck game with the oddest of names might look a bit unusual, but when it's at the table, it's dripping in tension. This is what pushing your luck should feel like, and the feeling that you're never completely out of the running to win the game. 48. Dwellings of Eldervale. An adjacency based worker placement and area control game that's got a lot going on, but it just works. Most spaces generate you resources, but it's the actions you take that are so precious, you need to make the most out of each and every one of them. 47. Everdell. This time worker placement sits alongside tableau or city building in a very well produced and cutesy game. This adopts the start slow, finish strong ethos and the discounted cost of cards. If you already have a certain one in your tableau, ensure that no two games are alike. 46. Azul. Here, a tile drafting and pattern building game combined to make something that could feasibly last a very, very long time in the mainstream. It really is that accessible and easy to get to the table without sacrificing any of its player engagement and replayability. 45. Century Golem Edition. Man, this has some gorgeous artwork, but it's the resource exchange mechanism that's present on all the cards you obtain that sees you downgrading and upgrading your gems in order to achieve overall net gains, and then have the means to gobble up the points cards. Simple, addictive, fun. 44. Folklore, The Affliction. Naturally, this year I've gravitated towards games that can be played solo, and so this pseudo RPG dungeon crawler that flaunts its D100 rolls is nothing if not immersive. I love the way it winds its narrative into what you see on the board during skirmishes and when you're travelling. 43. Gonshon Clever. A purely numbers based roll and write, but that's not necessarily mathy, but scratches that itch if you like playing with those industrious integers. It really is pretty clever the way each section has its own set of rules, but can also come together during gratifying chain reactions. 42. Barren Park. Why are polyomino tile placement games so much fun? Well, because they're like a puzzle to solve, and everybody likes puzzles, right? This one sets itself apart because of the way your park grows organically, and the way the tiles available to you are based on what you place and where. 41. Unmatched. This game system sees you pitting your characters and most likely a sidekick against your opponents on a board with only so many spaces to duck and dive on. But it's the wonderfully thematic card play that decides who wins each combat that really does make this game sing. 40. Warhammer 40k Conquest. I was happier when FFG was still making games based on Games Workshop IPs, and this is one of many reasons why. Incorporating area control elements into a deck construction game is no mean feat, but its back and forth tussle of how much you want to commit to an engagement is what I love the most. 39. Sagrada. Enjoyable for all the same reasons as all is. Here though, dice drafting and placement is the order of the day. And this is also that bit more puzzly. There are quite strict restrictions on where these gorgeous gem dice can go, and it's the min-maxing your available options that makes this so engrossing. 38. Root. How many heavyweight games can you say only have a smattering of core rules and get away with it? Well, Root is one of those because the bulk of the rules in this asymmetrical wargame are devolved to each of the disparate factions. Yes, it's predominantly area control, but it's also so much more. 37. Underwater cities. As city building games go, this is an absolute doozy. The idea being that you're playing cards as your action, and if you place the right coloured card for the appropriate action, you get to do both the action and benefit from the card. Elegant and logical games like this win me over time and time again. 36. The City of Kings. Right, disclaimer, this is not an RPG adventure. Okay, well it partly is, but mostly it's an exercise in taking the most efficient route, both on the board and with your character's progression, in an almost puzzle-like fashion. There are things I don't like here, but a great deal that I love. I take the yin with the yang. 35. Takenoko. Lots of little mechanics such as route building and one and done action selection intertwine here to make a little gem of a game that is almost pitch perfect in teaching you quite a few familiar board gaming staples. The fact that it can do this and remain accessible is why it's here on my list. 34. Marvel Universe Miniatures game. Yes, I know Marvel Crisis Protocol is a thing and it's going strong, but I've not built my core set yet, so for now this sadly discontinued miniature wargame has some tight core mechanics and boasts an elegant use of power as a resource to both move and do superhero shizzle. 33. Maracaibo. What I love about this Eurogame is that I can mosey around the Caribbean at my own pace, just so long as that pace isn't slow, picking up quests, getting into tussles on behalf of various nations, upgrading my boat, and so on and so forth. This quickfire format can't accommodate Maracaibo and its intricacies, just trust me, it's great. 32. Mansions of Madness. Another pseudo dungeon crawler in the lineage of Descent and Imperial Assault. This time designed from the ground up with an app to help you do the heavy lifting. The investigating, the storytelling and even the combat all play a part in making this a wonderfully thematic gameplay experience. 31. The Taverns of Tiefenthal. The aesthetic follow-up to Quacks of Quedlinburg hits me even more in the fancies as it sees you as the landlord of a local tavern. It's the deck building that sees you placing patrons and workers, which you then activate by drafting dice that combines to make a sweet ass game. 30. Nemesis. A game dripping with atmosphere that tells the cooperative story of crew members that wake up on a spaceship. The actions you can choose to move, interact with the rooms on the ship and prepare yourself for an inevitable battle are all carried out through discarding multifunctional cards from your hand. Flawed but absolutely brilliant. 29. Role Player. All seems so obvious to import dice placement into a role-playing character creation setting, but it wasn't until this little fella came along that honestly everything is on point here. The dice manipulation, the interaction with race and alignment and marketplace cards come together like a glove. 28. Android Netrunner. how many asymmetric 1v1 card games have you played? It's also not that hook that makes Android Netrunner great. It's the way that both roles have an equal amount of fun and rewarding things to do. Whether it's the corp laying traps or the runner figuring out how to economically hack the servers, everything is as tight as a drum. 27. Bunny Kingdom. Despite the big board in the middle of the table, this is actually a pure card drafting game at its heart. The fact that enables your board presence and its pseudo area control and route building, and does so seamlessly, results in this being more than just a pretty picture. 26. Gloom of Kilforth. Whilst it's the gloom that represents the hard counter of this game's duration, it's the hybrid role-playing, hand management and set collection that rings that bell. And the quests you embark across the 25 locations in play all have any number of different encounters to challenge you. And so that concludes another 25 chapters of this year's tome. I've realised now that I know what the next 25 are, but you don't, so I can only apologise about my unusual behaviour last time. We're almost there though, folks. The next time you hear this voice, we'll be counting down to 1. However, that's it from me today. I'll see you next time.